How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and oh my god, I forgot about Sonya. I thought I'd done every single character's variation 3 on this channel, but no, I forgot about poor Sonya, which is honestly a real shame because this variation seems very intriguing. And honestly, I would have assumed her variation 3 was lackluster since she already had one really good variation and one kind of okay variation. But seriously, everyone, I think variation 3 might be a real contender, especially at a high level tournament. So without any further ado, let's have an in-depth look at Sonya's variation 3. So this variation is all about Sonya's new pet cat. It's a very odd looking cat, but it does follow you around like a pretty good pet, though unlike most real pets, it goes away after a few seconds. And real quick, let's talk about that startup time. 66 frames. So unless you're full screen and the opponent can't teleport, you're gonna want to combo into this thing and end the combo a bit early, just to make sure you can summon this thing without getting punished completely. Now on the plus side, this guy does not go away just because Sonya gets hit, so that's nice. He's still on screen even though I took a big boot to the face. And while he won't come out if Sonya is hit before he lands, once this guy is on the ground, he will not go away until that timer runs out. So in summary, even though this guy does take 66 frames to get out, once he's out, he will not go away and he's very, very useful. So let's have a look at everything this bad boy can do. So the first thing he can do is detonate. Now outside of the corner, it's not a good idea most of the time, but once you do have the opponent cornered, it does launch them for a full combo, even if they were previously on the ground. And this of course is terrifying because now Sonya has meterless combos in the corner that do a lot of damage. And then if you do want to spin the bar as a cherry on top, you get even more damage. Seriously, just look at the damage of these basic combos when this thing detonates. It's really, really frightening. And also keep in mind, Sonya does have 50-50. She has the high overhead and the high low. If either one of those connects and she does a projectile, this thing will detonate and get a full combo. And to top all of that off, I'm pretty sure this detonation is actually plus on block. Alright, so the game won't tell me, but I can guarantee you it's plus on block at least a little bit, especially considering Sonya can already move before the explosion happens. So unlike before where Sonya could be punished for going for a mix-up, now she definitely can't. If this thing detonates, even if you block the mix-up, she's still 100% safe. In fact, she's plus. So not only does this detonation give Sonya some high damaging corner combos, but it also keeps her mix-ups safe. Very, very powerful stuff. And I almost forgot that because Sonya's throw animation is so long, this guy will actually detonate in the middle of your throw animation. So for example, a very simple setup right here. Detonate him, throw the opponent forward, and boom, 16% damage throw, so a bit above average, and it's not your best option in a lot of situations, but let's just say for example your opponent is blocking every single mix-up you go for, so instead you throw them and you get that 16% damage. And you know what, now I'm wondering if this still works when the opponent breaks my throw. I want to find that out, so he should break this, right? Alright, awesome stuff. Let's see if it works if they break my throw. Okay, so he can still block in time, but even so, look at all that chip damage. And once again, I'm still at plus once this guy detonates, so that's still pretty darn scary. And honestly, if you time things a bit differently, it would still be guaranteed because the breakaway animation isn't instant. So say for example, instead of throwing right away, you do like down 1 into throw, or down 3 into throw, anything to buy just a bit more time. That way if the opponent does break your throw, they still get caught up in the explosion. And next up we have straight 50 cal, a low hitting projectile that travels full screen, goes pretty quickly. And I should mention that once Sonya gives the order, this thing actually won't stop, so once I stop using my watch for example, even if the opponent hits me, this projectile is still coming out, so it can actually interrupt the opponent even if they want to punish you. So these are still very deadly projectiles, make no mistake. Even though Sonya is vulnerable, the turret can totally interrupt the opponent's attack. However, do be warned, the opponent can very easily jump over these low projectiles, so they're not the best if the opponent wants to attack from the sky. Now thankfully we have the leaping 50 cal, which used to be labeled as a mid attack. It's definitely not, it's a high attack. The opponent can duck under it, but even so, it could be a decent anti-air. At the very least, it could knock the opponent out of the sky from a distance. So if your opponent doesn't like to jump, you can use the straight 50 cal to keep annoying them, attack their shins. Once they get frustrated, you catch them out of the sky with the leaping 50 cal. This thing has everything covered. And then just for fun and giggles, it has the Mortar strike. This is quite possibly the best projectile that it has. It hits mid and arcs through the air, so a fantastic projectile. And perhaps best of all, it stuns the opponent long enough to start off combos. And once again, this turret can interrupt the opponent as they're attacking you, which means you get a full combo even though they hit you first. Needless to say, this is by far my favorite projectile this bad boy has. And then perhaps the most frightening of all, we have the wake up pressure. So let's say I do a short combo into Mortar strike, They block on wake up. Check this out. Plus 20 on block, and it does vary a bit. Sometimes it's plus 22, sometimes it's plus 29, but the point is you are very, very plus. So just to showcase that, let's have Johnny Cage do a pretty fast reversal move, like say a throw. So we call down Cat, do a short combo. Boom, we get the counter hit. Don't press any buttons, Johnny Cage. That'll be around 35% damage. Thank you very much. And actually, it's over 50% damage if you check out his health bar. He's already halfway dead with just one combo into a setup. That's crazy. And then as an example, let's say the opponent's a lot more patient. You knock them down, go for the mortar strike, they block, just throw up. Just dash up and throw. That's still decent damage. Now the turret does go away at that point, but it's still a combo into a setup into throw. And then of course on top of all of that, we have the 50-50s that only Sonya Blade can offer. If the opponent blocks low all the time, catch them with the overhead and get your full meterless combo. And then let's say your opponent likes to block high all the time. They prefer to block standing. In that case, you go for the low, get the knockdown. If you want to, you could spin the bar. And honestly, you could just do it raw also. You could do the mortar, they block it, boom, catch them with this, and that's a crushing blow if you time it correctly. So Sonya's 50-50s are already scary as it is in variation 1 and 2, but in variation 3 the opponent has to deal with them, and oddly enough they become even more frightening, especially in the corner. And that's why I honestly do think the mortar strike is the scariest thing about the cat drone. Everything else is pretty good too, right? You have some overheads, you have the projectiles, you have the jumping projectile, but the mortar strike is just so advantageous on block that it makes it very frightening, and it comes out very quickly and can even interrupt the opponent after they've hit you, and if you time things correctly you still get a combo in that situation. And then last but certainly not least, we have the cat Tantrum, which is a leaping attack that apparently can miss if you're very close. I did not know that. But keep in mind this guy is an overhead, and I give a salute. Oh, that's awesome. I love the cheesiness of it. I wish Mortal Kombat 11 had more of that. So yeah, you have this very far-reaching overhead, and keep in mind you also have a low-hitting projectile. So this can be very annoying, especially online if the opponent doesn't know what this guy can do. He has lows, he has overheads, he has mids, all that crazy stuff. He can also detonate for plus frames. He's a crazy, crazy pet. He is by far one of the craziest cats I've ever seen. Alright everyone, and that's about it for this variation. Not super complicated, but the cat itself definitely is. It's great for corner combos and pressure. It's really good at zoning too, which is scary when Sonya is already good at zoning. These onion rings start up on 12 frames. They hit high, and if the opponent ducks in correctly, that second one is a crushing blow that hits mid. It is very safe on block. It's very dangerous from a distance, very dangerous up close. It's just almost impossible to react to, especially online. So combine that with the projectiles from your drone, and she is very, very powerful at keep away in this variation. And on top of all of that, we have the mortar strike, possibly the best projectile due to its angle and how it arcs through the air. It's also a mid, so the opponent has to deal with it, and best of all, it can actually interrupt the opponent even after they've hit you, which can lead to a combo even though they touched you first. And then last but certainly not least, we have the overhead from a distance. So on top of your zoning, you also have a mix-up from far away as well. And even though we did see this move miss up close earlier, it can still be somewhat of a pseudo mix-up. Instead of low, you now have an overhead, which could catch the opponent, especially online. So even once you're up close, this guy can be a mix-up. Now you don't get very much damage, but even so, an opponent who's always guessing is going to be a scared opponent, which makes things easier for you. So in summary, Sonya's pet cat might be one of the best characters in Mortal Kombat 11. He's got great zoning, great keep away, great pressure, he has mix-ups, he can detonate for plus frames, all that crazy stuff, and meterless corner combos. Honestly, his only downside is how long he takes to set up, over a full second, but once you have him on screen, he is very, very threatening. And I think where this guy shines the most is on the opponent's wake up. You end your combo with the mortar strike, and the opponent pretty much has to deal with it. If they block it, you're at plus frames. If they try to attack you, they will get hit for a full combo. And that's why I think Cat's wake up game is the scariest thing about him. His corner combos are scary too, but I do think his main strength is denying the opponent's wake up game. All in all, I think this variation is very strong. It might not be as strong as variation 1, but I don't know, I think it's a serious contender. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And then while you're down there, go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs. Growing up, I always enjoyed visiting the San Antonio Zoo, and they even recently added an interactive giraffe exhibit, where guests can personally feed the animals up close. And this concept was inspired by my sister and her husband, who really love giraffes. And their newest idea is to add a catwalk for the jaguar, allowing them to pass over the guests and travel freely between two different enclosures. Jaguars love being up high and having room to explore, so this habitat extension would be a great addition to the zoo. If you'd like to donate, please visit the link down below. Every donation helps the jaguars reinforce their natural behaviors.